All right, so now, it's still talking about remixes.
Mhm.
Next, topic is Steven Wilson remixes. It looks like there are quite a few anticipated.
There always are. I mean, every year, when I do like, one of these, sort of looking forward to threads, yeah, there's always a category called Steven Wilson remixes, and there's probably at least like 4 or 5 different releases, 4 or 5 different artists in there. So, yeah, it seems like he always keeps really, really busy with these remixes for us, thankfully.
Heck yeah, so, we have The Who, Who's Next, slash
Yep.
Lighthouse. What's the title Lighthouse? Is that the sessions?
It's Lifehouse, and yeah, so
Lifehouse.
what happened was that after The Who released Tommy, and then they toured it, and it was a big success, Pete started working on this next, conceptual record and story, which was called Lifehouse, and a lot of the songs that made up that story and that concept ended up being on the album Who's Next. The reason I think that Lifehouse wasn't fully realized as a concept and as a concept record was because I think the rest of the band really couldn't get behind the concept, or they didn't really understand it. It didn't really make sense to them. So what ended up happening was they're working with, producer Glenn Johns, and they basically take a lot of the strongest songs from that Lifehouse concept and created a very focused single album, which ended up being the Who's biggest record, Who's Next.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite records. It's one that I can point to as just being a perfect record.
Steven Wilson did an interview on the Immersive Audio website. One of our friends interviewed him, and I think he mentioned in that interview that when it comes to Who's Next, besides the album itself, I think there's close to like 14 other songs, or tracks that he's remixed. So yeah, from what I
Nice.
understand, this box set, this remix that he's done should not only encompass the album, but should encompass a lot of additional material. So I would say right now, if anything, this is probably the most anticipated release for me so far this year.
Yeah, and really, this is what I had in mind when I was talking about helping people, giving people time to budget. Because, like, there's no standalone Blu-ray for this one for me. Like, it's the full thing.
Yeah,
It's the full thing. Gotta have
absolutely.
it. I'm pretty stoked. All right, and
Mhm.
so then, Jethro Tull, Broadsword, and the Beast. Is that confirmed?
Yeah, so, we know that the remix is finished, we know that Steven Wilson did it. It was one of those releases that should have been out in 2022 because the original album came out in 1982, but, pandemic, manufacturing backlogs, whatnot, they pushed the release to this year. From what I understand, so the original Broadsword and the Beast album was 10 songs, and as
Yeah.
far as I know, the whole record's been remixed, but I think there's probably close to, maybe 20 additional tracks, that were written and recorded in various stages. So, yeah, no, there should definitely be a lot of material in this set as well.
I love Broadsword and the Beast, the Beastie. So I'm in. So
Yeah,
we'll see what Wilson does with that.
absolutely.
Ultravox.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, this one's kind of speculative. It's not really confirmed at this point, but Steven Wilson did remix Vienna, and he did remix Rage and Eden. Quartet is the following record. It was originally released in '82, so like Broadsword, if they were trying to hit the 40th anniversary, it should have been last year. But I still have hopes that they're going to continue these remixes with Quartet because I've been impressed with the remixes so far. Also, fun fact I learned about Quartet recently is that for those who don't know, it was actually produced by the Beatles producer George Martin.
Ooh, nice. All right, so Tears for Fears, Elemental or The Hurting, those are both speculative.
Yeah, because The Hurting, they did a 30th anniversary box set for The Hurting about 10 years ago, and it didn't contain any surround sound or any immersive audio. But other than that, I think
Right.
it pretty much contained almost everything they could have released. My feeling is that they're probably, if they're going to put out anything from Tears for Fears this year, it'll probably be a box set for Elemental. It came out in '93. This year's the 30th anniversary. It was actually the very first record that featured Roland Orzabal basically on his own, because before that they were a duo.
Right.
So yeah, I'm hoping that if they release anything this year, it'll be a 30th anniversary set for Elemental, new 5.1 and Atmos mixes, hopefully from Steven Wilson, like the rest of them.
Okay, Gentle Giant, Interview, and The Missing Piece.
Yep. So again, Steven Wilson's been working on remixing Gentle Giant albums for almost the last 10 years. I think from what I understand that both remixes for these albums, Interview and The Missing Piece, that they're either completed or close to being completed. I think if we're going to get one this year, it'll probably be Interview because that's the album that follows Freehand. Freehand was the last remix that we got.
Oh
It's,
man, and
it's an
the
interesting
Atmos mix
record.
of Freehand is probably one of my it's among my top Atmos mixes. I love
It's
it.
a really good one. Yep, it's a really good one. No, I have high hopes for both of them, but particularly for Interview. It's a little bit of an underrated record, but I have a lot of appreciation for that one.
All right, Grateful Dead.
Yeah, so this was a big surprise. All of a sudden last year, Steven Wilson said, "Hey, I've remixed American Beauty and Atmos. It's available for streaming. No physical release yet, but according to what he said in his post, it sounds like he's not only remixing other records of theirs, but that whatever he's doing, whatever he's remixing, could be potentially released in the future in a physical form. So if that's the case, that's definitely something I'll check out for sure."
Knocking on wood. Okay, ABC. This is a group that I don't know anything about, so please educate me.
I mean, honestly, I've only kind of gotten to know a little bit about them and about this particular record, The Lexicon of Love, only just recently. And the only reason why was because somebody found out that Steven Wilson had done a remix of it, and it's supposed to be coming out as part of a set this year. So probably a new 5.1 and Atmos mix. It's definitely, for those who haven't really heard it, I would probably say the closest comparison group or sound wise that I've heard to ABC so far from listening to this record would probably be Duran Duran. It's definitely kind of got that very plush, new wave 80s kind of sound. It was produced by Trevor Horn. And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, from what I've heard, almost anything that Trevor Horn has produced sounds incredible anyway. So yeah, this will be a nice release to fully check out once we get it.
Okay, I'm interested. And then we have a few more just very miscellaneous rumor remixes. Gilmour, The Cars, Aha, XTC.
Yeah, so somebody found out from a Steven Wilson video interview where he was talking about some headphones that he used for Dolby Atmos mixing. You could, I don't know how somebody found this, but you can sort of hear a David Gilmour solo track playing in the background in one of the clips when he's testing out the headphones. I think it's a track from his first record called "There's No Way Out of Here." So, of course,
Okay.
once somebody found that out, now there's rumors that Stevens remixed that record and maybe his other early solo record from Gilmour is called About Face. So we'll just have to see about that one. As far as the cars go, I think the reason that was in there was because somebody went to a talk that Steven Wilson did about his Atmos remixes, and there was kind of screen in the background with various album covers floating around of album that he's remixed, and somebody saw that first album from the Cars up there. So
Interesting.
that's the reason why that one's in there. And then as far as Aha goes, so we do know that Steven's already remixed their big hit, which is Take On Me.
Right.
There's an Atmos mix of his that's streaming right now. So there are some rumors that maybe we'll get a full, Atmos remix of the complete record at some point, which I believe is called Hunting High and Low.
Paul Sinclair, if you're listening, you know what to
Please.
do. You know what to do. Yes.
Yep.
We will support you. And now XTC, I have had some correspondence over time with like the head of their fan club, and for a while it's been rumored that we would are looking at some more surround series issues, but like it's been a while.
Yeah, I think part of the big problem is that at least for some of their records from the 80s that have remained unreleased in remix form, like English Settlement, Mummer, Big Express, Promise
Right.
Tapes, either they can't find all the tapes for those albums or they found some tapes but not the others. So I think that's one of the reasons why we have sort of seen a lack of XTC releases is that they're still looking for the tapes. One of the other ones that was I think supposed to be worked on for a remix was one of their more recent ones called Apple Venus.
Yeah.
That one doesn't have tapes; it's got files. But apparently, again, that album was recorded, and released a little over 20 years ago.
Right.
Apparently, like, some files still exist, some are missing, they've got some parts, they're missing
Ugh.
others. So, yeah, of course, I don't think anybody was thinking about that, when they were doing the record, back 20 something years ago. So, who knows?
Right.
The XTC releases, as far as Stevens remixes are concerned, have been some of my absolute favorites. I love pretty much all their records. So, whatever they want to give us, bring it on. I'm ready for it.
Same. I'm in. All right, Elton John, "Don't Shoot Me."
Just a sort of little bit of a history. So, with Elton John, we got a bunch of his classic albums mixed in 5.1 by Greg Penny. They came out on the SACD format about 20 years ago, and then almost nothing since then. Now, this album, Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player, this was one of a few other albums where Greg Penny apparently did 5.1 mixes of as well at the time, and they haven't come out since, not on SACD, DVD, audio, Blu-ray, nothing.
Would that also include Caribou, Blue
Yeah.
Moves?
I think the others were Caribou, Rock of the Westies, and Blue Moves.
Okay.
So those four, along with the others that were previously released, that pretty much sums up the sort of classic Elton records from the 70s produced by Gus Dudgeon. So last year when the Madman Across the Water set came out, it had a 5.1 Blu-ray with it. I naturally, along with a lot of other people, started to speculate about maybe future box sets, including Don't Shoot Me. Apparently, there's somebody over on the Steve Hoffman forum who knows someone who works at Universal Music who said that now they are apparently putting together a Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player box set for its 50th anniversary this year. And they are looking at including the unreleased 5.1 mix on Blu ray. So if that's the case, then this will probably be one of the biggest and most anticipated releases this year for a lot of people, including myself.
Yeah, for sure. I'm among those who has been just hoping for those unreleased Greg Pennies to hit the light of day. I love "Don't Shoot Me." I've got a few copies of it on LP, and would love to hear that surround experience. The Elton John SACDs are amongst the best pop surround mixes on anyone's list, as far as I have heard.
Yeah, I agree. So, yep, I think if this one does happen, it'll definitely be one of the ones that I think I'll enjoy the most, and a lot of people enjoy the most this year.
All right, everyone. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, notification bell, comments, share the video, all that stuff. And until next time, live life in surround.